I know. Good morning, you guys. We're testing the waters on something because it did tell me that if we went live at the same time, it would be loud, like it would play in the background. So I don't know how. I don't know. I wish we had somebody that was tech savvy that knew how to set all this up for us. Because it said if you would go live on Instagram at the same time, it would be playing in the background at the same time. But I don't see it playing on Instagram, but I don't know how to check to see if we're live on Instagram. So there's that as well. I'm not an Instagram person. Are you an Instagram person?
No, I mean, I post on
Yeah.
there regularly.
Yeah.
That's about it. And stories. I use my stories.
I agree. So I was going to tell you this the other day and I forgot. You always listen to Gabby, what's her name? Gabby Bernstein?
Oh, yeah, I see her like on TikTok and stuff.
I signed up for her beginning of the year manifestation affirmation kind of thing. It's going to be the first 21 days of January. It was like super cheap, so I thought, okay, I'll try it. I'll see. I'll try to get into it. And so I got that. So I'll be sharing that inside the next chapter with everybody.
Nice.
On what she does, but it was kind of like it sold me when it was like how to get your mind in a more positive viewpoint of yourself. And she used the word abundance today in her email that went out today. So I'm like, okay, there's something with her. She's in like the right spectrum that we're into.
Yeah, she's a big manifester. I was actually over the weekend in Barnes and Noble trying to find one of her books that she wrote about manifestation, and they didn't have it in stock. So I wound up getting a different book, but that's probably going to be really good.
Yeah. So do you buy books every time or do you go to the library?
Usually I like a book, like a real book. I don't read like on my iPad or anything. And I usually buy books, usually off Amazon, but
Really?
David wanted to go just kind of browse. So
Yeah.
we were just kind of walking around Barnes and Noble and I picked one up.
Okay. That's what I do. I typically buy them on Amazon. I am trying to get the older boys into reading personal development. I think both boys, Walker and his partner Isaiah, are going to end up being entrepreneurs later in life. They're already selling plants like it's their job. So they've already kind of got like the entrepreneur vibe. And so I bought them Think Rich, Grow Rich, that book. And I've read that a long time ago. So I'm going to give it to Isaiah to read, and then he has to finish it so that I can have it back and read again. So that's kind of my ploy and pressure on him that he has to read it. Because I just really think if I would have read personal development books when I was 19, 20, 21 years old, how different my world would probably have been.
Yeah, I didn't really become a regular reader until my late 30s. I always wished I loved to read. Like I wish I was just blow through books, but I just never found any that could hold my attention or interest, or I would start them and then I would just like never pick them back up again and never finish. It took me a long time. And then, yeah, like mid to late 30s, that's when I started reading personal development books and they have to speak to me too. I can't just read any, like sometimes I've tried and they're just so boring or just so like, they have to have the right tone too. But I mean, I've read more of those in the last couple of years than any books in my whole life.
Yeah, I've always done personal development since mid 30s, but right now I kind of dabble in like a fiction book every once in a while.
Yeah.
So like to keep my interest, like right now I'm reading Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, just because it was something that my daughter and I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read like 6 of her books, but I always read them on long car trips. That's where we start them. We do them as audiobooks, and then I'm one that has to finish a book. Like I can't just like let it sit there for months and months, especially audiobooks. So anytime I'm like, I do it when I'm walking around the house, or I do it when I'm taking a shower, or this like getting my makeup and stuff done on the morning. So I want to finish it. There's 3 hours left. So that's probably about a week and a half. I can finish that because I only listen to it for like 20, 30 minutes a day. But for me, I wish like I'm following all these people on TikTok that do book reviews. And I have like a couple questions. Number one, how fast can you read a fucking book?
I know. I follow a couple of the same people, like Book Talk.
The silent review.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I know my stepsister, when we were young, I mean, she must have been in middle school. She would blow through a book. Like she would come stay with us for the summer and she would just blow through books in like a couple of days. And so I think if you're somebody who is a pretty fast reader and you've been reading for years, you really do just like, you can read quickly. I am not a fast reader. I have to like take my time, and sometimes my mind drifts and I have to like bring myself back and like reread the last paragraph.
Totally.
And so it does take me a little while, but yeah, I think those people are just probably really fast readers because they can blow through them. And I'm actually reading, I have 3 books right now that I'm reading because sometimes like I have that self-love book, that like workbook. So there's a lot of like exercises in it, but then there are also some pages that you can read. So I have that going on. I have a book on a highly sensitive person, like about highly sensitive people. I'm reading that. And then I just started this book, which is a biography. It's Julia Fox. It's her new book that just came out. And I was so intrigued by it. So I started reading that a couple of days ago. So I have kind of like 3 going on. Just depends on like what mood I'm in, but I usually read before bed.
Yeah. I started doing, I have the self-love book. I'm over halfway through that one. I have the book I'm listening to. I have a personal development book called, something one, like this is the one or only one or something like that. And it's getting you in that mindset of like, if you have a goal, what's the one thing you could be doing right now to get to that goal? And too many people focus on like the goal of like, okay, let's say I want to be a millionaire. Everybody's focused on the money part. And it's like, okay, but in the background, what am I selling? What do I have? Like, what's goal one? What's step one? What's the one thing to get you to the other things? So I'm liking that book. There's a lot of stuff I can take away from that book, but, I think the other thing I'm doing that I'm also trying to read the Bible just for like educational purposes, and be able to be relatable to some things. And it's one thing that my older kids have been asking about. So it's kind of hopefully be our connective piece that holds us kind of together as everybody drifts apart and we move and college and all that. But I had this book that I got Josie and I a long time ago, and it was like daughter and mom book. And so like the left page is for mom and the right page is for daughter. And so I started it when she was in junior high and we kind of like just stopped. So I picked it back up and I'm doing it again right now and filling out my whole side. And my hope is that I can give it to her when she leaves and then she can fill out her side during her freshman year in college. And there's just like today it wrote about, the question was, what's something you wish you would have talked to your mom about more? So it was asking me, what is something I wish I would have talked to my mom more about? And so I was writing that in. And then the next page prompted me to answer, what's something that you love talking to your daughter about? And it was so weird because just yesterday we had a sit down on her floor in her bedroom and just talked about 500 different things. And so I was talking about that. Like, I love that her and I have a different relationship than what my mom and I had. Like, I think I feared my mom so much so that I didn't open up. And then I wrote this. I regret not opening up to my mom when I was younger because I don't think she would have judged me like I thought she would have. And I don't think she would have like been mad at me at some of the things I was doing and asking. Because ever since I have started opening up to her since my late 20s, she's been right every fucking time. And it's like, God, I wish I would have had that advice when I was younger, and then I was thinking about you this morning and like, I can't even imagine not having my mom and not having that conversation, like sitting on the floor with Joe. She's 17. And at that point, you didn't have your mom. And like the questions she was asking me and the things that she's going through, I'm just like, I can't imagine her throwing her to the wolves and being like, good luck. I mean, the fact that you're here today is astonishing to me. Cause I mean, you were running through my head like crazy yesterday, just sitting there talking to her. I'm like, I mean, she's mature. Don't get me wrong. But like to be on her own with no mama saying yes,
or siblings, or dad. It's crazy. I don't know how I'm not like living off the streets as some kind of like addict with no, like I had so many opportunities to make terrible, terrible choices. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know
you had a purpose. I mean, you obviously had a purpose. So it's like, and I think you're sharing your purpose, obviously, but it's like, I don't know. I mean,
it was intense. It was pretty fucked up. And then, terrible relationships, which doesn't help. Terrible. Oh man. Yeah, it was quite a journey. And there
Yeah.
are still things that like I'm learning now in my 40s that I feel like I would have known if I had a mom, like how to clean an oven, like things that come up
Yeah.
now, and I'm like, oh, you need to do this,
Well,
like because
I
I
w-
had no,
I know.
there was no, if I had no mom, I was just like figuring everything out on my own. There's still things that come up that I'm like, oh, I didn't know you have to change your sheets every week.
Right. There was I went to my face doctor, my Botox guy, and I said something like I said, I wish someone would have told me in my 20s to put like something on my forehead so that it never wrinkled. And he goes, "Well, that's what your mom was for." And I looked at him and I was like, "Dude, my mom and I were raising each other growing up. Like we were so close in age that like I said she's getting the wrinkles the same time I'm getting wrinkles. Like she's not that much older than me to where she didn't get old. I got old with her, My mom and I were learning and figuring out at the same time as we were, gray. Now that Josie's getting ready to go to college, I'm thinking about I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. Because like I have full bars. I don't know what's going on. But as Joe's going to college, I'm thinking about what it was like for me going to college and my mom. My mom and dad were so young
Oh, you might be frozen
and was
now.
blast with them. They were
Yeah, you might be frozen. Renee just said, "I wish I could relate. My mother betrayed me with my ex and traumatized me badly. I cut her off just for sanity."
there
Yeah, good for you. First of all, that's really brave and really
we go.
healthy. I think we have sometimes there's things that we're told that family is family no matter what, and you should figure it out and da da da. But I'm glad that you did that, Renee, because sometimes even when they're blood related, they're just really unhealthy for you. So I hope you're working on healing from that.
I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. My computer's wackadoo. Can you even hear me? Because mine just
I can now.
like Zoom just popped up on my screen out of nowhere. Like
Retrograde. We
I
have
don't
until
know.
January 1st. We're in Mercury retrograde, where everything technology is a shit show. Don't sign any important contracts or make decisions. Watch out for miscommunications.
I'm glad you sent me that. You sent me something a couple days ago when retrograde started,
Yeah.
and the miscommunication part I think is huge. Like it's made me catch a pause on any time like even just this morning, I was like, "Hey Jared, can you fix me breakfast before you leave?" Because he's taking Augie to the doctor because Augie has a sore throat, and so he's home from school. And like Jared was like, "But in my mind, I'm gonna make it at this time," and I was like, okay, but you didn't communicate that to me. That's what you thought in your head. So I'm trying to tell you, I need food before you leave because otherwise I'm gonna be starving. Then I'm gonna get, and I don't know. It was just like, I paused because I'm like, here's where you said something in your head, but you did not relay it out of your mouth. I'm not a fucking mind reader. So like, we need to say our thoughts out loud sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, say your thoughts out loud. It's okay. I can hear you. Yeah, retrograde is just, but it's made me pause. It's like, okay, it's not him, it's not me. It's the universe right now that it's trying to get
Cosmos.
us to clash. It's trying its hardest to like get us to like fire at each other. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
hopefully
it's
we'll be able to hop on. So yeah, we have to go probably in a minute, but if you're not in the next chapter, we have registered dietitian of over like 13 years, Mindy Yoder,
oh,
coming
I'm so
in.
excited. I got questions.
Yeah, we got lots of questions from members. We have questions. She's going to come in and talk all things like health and diet and relationships with our bodies and how like certain ailments and how to approach those with food and all kinds of really cool stuff. So you can cut here. I'll put this up here for any of you who want to come in. Just join the next chapter, and we're going to stream live in about 10 minutes, and then that recording stays in there for at least a month.
Right.
And we still have holiday ones in there. We still have trial prep in there. There's some really, really good trainings still available until the end of the month. But this one's going to be good. I love when we have guests come in, and then because we learn so much, right? Like there's so much that we can teach inside the next chapter, but then there are things that are really helpful for our members that are just not our wheelhouse. Like we're not experts in that field. So we find experts and we bring them in. So it's always exciting.
Exactly. I'm super excited about just the whole next year. I mean, you and I have some really good shit planned. This person alone. I mean, as everybody's getting ready to jump on their health journey, for her to
Mhm.
come in and kind of give us some guidance. I have some questions about protein because I'm really starting to dive into that. And just I hope she just talks about how our bodies change as we get older. I mean,
Mhm.
the things I can't eat now, I think he's bringing me breakfast. The things I can't eat now that I used to be able to eat when I was little and, even just 10 years ago, how drastically different things are. So I'm really curious to see what she has to say and to see what kind of nutritionist she is. Everybody's different. Everybody pushes
Yes.
like their agenda when teaching about that. So I'm really curious as to what that's going to be. So thank you. All right. What else we got before we duck out? What do
Yeah,
we
I
have?
don't
What
think
do we have
anything.
going on this week? What do we have? We have the next chapter.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, we might, yeah, tomorrow we're going to record because on next Monday is Christmas. So we won't
Yeah.
be live on Christmas, but we will be still putting a new training video in there. So we're going to record that tomorrow. And then I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of craziness going on because we're winding down year end. We've got um one more week of the next chapter, Christmas,
All
and
right.
then you have something coming up, no?
I
Or no?
have the I have the parenting plan workshop, which will be January 10th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we got that coming up. That'll be I think I'm going to change it up a little bit. I mean, it'll be the same content. So anybody that's already been there, don't come again. But it's just I think I'm going to change the Q&A portion a little bit and make it a little bit more advanced and more organized. But yeah, I mean, I posted about that the other day and a lot of people started purchasing and I'm so in love with people taking the steps to get educated on the parenting plan because it is the contract that you walk away with. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what happens in your financial part, you are going to walk away with a parenting plan. So you best bet that it gives you details and longevity to where you don't have to keep going back to court.
Yeah.
So that's important. So think about joining us on that. But yeah, we're going to duck out, get ready for Mindy over in the next chapter. It's not too late. You can go to samandleah.com to hang out with us for the next hour. And this replay of her being in there today is going to be sitting in there till the first of the year. So you got plenty of time to get in there and check that out. All right. I'll see you in a little bit, Leah Marie.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, buddy. You going to the doctor?